Hi, I'm Maria, and today I'll show you how to fix the Your Sitemap appears to be an HTML page error. Error messages in WordPress tend to be confusing and challenging to solve, but the Your Sitemap appears to be an HTML page error thankfully isn't one of them. If you've encountered this problem, you're likely wondering what this error means, what's wrong with your sitemap being HTML, and how exactly you can fix this issue. And what if your sitemap is already in the proper format and you still see this error? In this video, we'll walk you through everything: how a sitemap works, the format it's meant to be in, and a few different ways to solve this problem. But before we get too far, I want to let you know that there will be links to more resources in the video's description. And remember, subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications for future helpful content. Now, let's get started. Do you know how search engines find your website? The answer is with a handy little bot called a web crawler, an automated tool sent out by search engines to index the pages of your site. With literally millions of pages on the web, gathering information about each site would be impossible with humans. Web crawlers go through the internet, caching the info on every page and piece of media. That seems simple enough, but Google doesn't automatically know when you add a new page to your site, such as when you publish a blog post or release a new product in your store. They periodically send the web crawler to visit your site and see if anything has changed, but the process isn't instantaneous. When you have a huge website, it's easy for the crawler to miss key pages even after multiple visits. It's primarily a concern when such pages aren't linked too often. That's where sitemaps come in to help the crawlers. These XML files are different from a regular page on your site. They're generally unreadable by humans and not meant to be seen by visitors. But web crawlers can use them to ensure everything gets indexed. The way they work is by simply listing out all the pages on your site, along with the link hierarchy, plus other files on your site such as images and videos. It ensures that Google sees everything on your site and improves SEO accordingly. If you've used a tool like Google Analytics or Google Search Console, then you may have seen an option to link to your sitemap. Google will reference this first when they send web crawlers to your site. So your sitemap is an HTML page, but what exactly is the problem with that? Why does Google want you to change it? Sitemaps must be written in a particular format for web crawlers to understand them. A majority of the time, it needs to be an XML file. They may also read in RSS, Atom, KML, or text file, but XML is the most common choice. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. It's a web language very similar to HTML. The difference is its use. While it's human readable, its primary function is to help machines encode documents and read data. In this case, it's helping a web crawler understand where the pages and other media on your site are and how they interact with each other. But you may have seen the term sitemap used before in a very different context. HTML sitemaps do exist, but the big difference is that they're made for humans, not for web crawlers. If you've ever clicked a link to a site's navigation and found a human-readable and pleasantly designed list of pages on the site, this is technically known as a sitemap. But while it can be helpful to your visitors, it's not what Google is looking for. An XML sitemap will look like a mess of unreadable code or a massive wall of links to most users. So if you want to add a helpful navigation page to your site, feel free to create an HTML sitemap alongside it. But you must create an XML sitemap as well. When you think of a sitemap, what comes to mind may be a simple list of the pages on your site. But Google uses several different types of sitemaps to catalog various information. Video. Videos on your site can be specifically indexed to appear in Google video results. Images. The same goes for images. Some images, such as those embedded in JavaScript code, may not be customarily indexed. An image sitemap can help ensure your site appears in Google Images. News. Writing a column? Google has a specially dedicated Google News section in its search, and a news sitemap can ensure you're appearing properly there and getting more traffic. Code. Google indexes code snippets to help programmers search for code and files. Geographic data. You can use a special KML sitemap to give Google better data on where your business is. Typically, some of this information is in your main sitemap. Others must have their special dedicated sitemap. and in the end, they all need to be appropriately formatted in XML or another supported format, not HTML. If you've intentionally submitted a link to an HTML sitemap, you'll need to replace it with an XML file instead. If you don't know how to make one, there are several different ways to create it with WordPress plugins and generators you can find online. Even if you have an XML sitemap that just isn't working, regenerating or submitting a different sitemap may fix the issue. There are 2 easy ways to get a sitemap. Either use a plugin or generate one with the sitemap. With WordPress, the easiest way to get a dynamically updating sitemap on your website is to download a plugin. This way, you don't have to upload any files to your server manually. There are quite a few plugins that will generate a sitemap. The sitemap error is often caused by accidentally submitting an HTML page rather than a properly formatted XML file. But if your XML sitemap is still claiming to be an HTML page, you may have a deeper problem, but no worries. The issue usually lies with an easy-to-fix conflict in your WordPress plugins. Here are a few suggestions to get your sitemap working correctly again. It's much easier to diagnose a problem if you have an explicit error code to search for. The first thing you should do is visit your sitemap page and see if there are any strange error codes. If you notice an error when you visit your sitemap, this will cause Google to think it sees an HTML page. Use this error to help you in your search to fix the problem. Our list of HTTP status codes may help. What if you notice the sitemap error intermittently? Sometimes there, sometimes not. It may happen if you're dynamically generating a sitemap. Minor server blips and timeouts will read to Google like your sitemap is suddenly an HTML page, as it shows an error message rather than an XML file. As long as the error is rare and is not ongoing or frequent, it's usually not a cause for concern. Another thing to look out for is redirects. If you visit your sitemap page and suddenly end up on the home page or in an infinite redirect loop, this will also cause things to break. If you find any errors or redirects that won't go away, the problem usually lies with a plugin conflict. Plugins that generate sitemaps, such as Yoast, may cause a conflict, or a caching plugin could be the source of the issue. But sometimes, even seemingly random plugins can cause conflicts. Use the health check and troubleshooting plugin to identify them. Install it if it isn't present already, then go to Tools, then Site Health, then Troubleshooting Mode. It'll turn off all plugins temporarily without affecting your visitors. See if the error or redirect is now gone on your site. If it is, re-enable plugins one by one until the site breaks again. Look for conflicts between multiple plugins. You can now contact the plugin authors to report the bug and ask for assistance. One of the biggest causes of conflicts is with caching plugins. When a sitemap gets cached, it can occasionally cause issues with Google reading it as an HTML page, as you shouldn't cache XML files this way. Most caching plugins will avoid caching a sitemap page because of this, but they may erroneously do so anyway, especially if you're using a unique URL for your sitemap. Thankfully, you do not need to disable the entire caching plugin. You can add an exception and the issue should clear up automatically. Your plugin's documentation should cover this. In the description below, you'll find resources on how to do it in 2 of the most used caching plugins, WP Super Cache and W3 Total Cache. While this is a small suggestion, it's always worth double checking. Did you submit the correct link? It's an elementary mistake to make, and even one incorrect character will point to the wrong place. Check the link you've submitted, both via Google and in any SEO or sitemap plugins. Some plugins may be adding a trailing slash to the end of your sitemap page. This one character can lead to massive problems, especially if it causes a redirect loop. Again, turn on troubleshooting mode in the health check plugin and attempt to find which plugin is causing the issue. A majority of the time, you can trace it back to one individual plugin. While it won't usually cause problems as long as you link to the proper page, having extra sitemaps active can occasionally cause issues or confusion for yourself. Plus, your server is spending additional resources updating several unnecessary sitemaps. Plugins may add different sitemaps, and you may not know that WordPress even generates its own for you. You should check for these and remove all but the one you want to use. Here are a few URLs you can try on your site. Sitemap.xml is a common choice for generated sitemaps throughout most sitemap plugins. WP Sitemap XML. This is the default sitemap generated by WordPress since version 5.5. Sitemap Index XML. The URL for the sitemap generated by Yoast. And if you've downloaded other SEO or sitemap plugins, they may be using a different URL entirely. Check the documentation and make sure you disable any sitemap functionality you don't want. Sometimes sitemaps can inexplicably be the source of a constant stream of issues, and a simple fix may not be enough to make them go away. If you run into difficult-to-solve problems constantly, you may begin to question whether a sitemap is vital for you. It's generally encouraged to create a sitemap, as Google says itself that it will never penalize your SEO for doing so. It can only help improve your SEO and get your site indexed faster. But it's not required that you have one in certain situations. And Google itself suggests that some sites not use them. Suppose your site has fewer than 500 pages and is not likely ever to have more than that. In that case, as long as it's internally linked well and doesn't have many media files you want to show up in Google Images and Google Video, you may not need to have a sitemap at all. On the other hand, it can really help your SEO to have a sitemap. And there's no harm in having one, so pushing through and fixing the problem can do nothing but good. Your site may be small now, but it probably won't always be. If you're stuck, you can always turn to your host support to figure out what might be causing the problem. Kinsta's WordPress hosting can speed up your website by up to 200%, and you'll get 24/7 support from our expert WordPress engineers. Let us show you the Kinsta difference. Try a free demo of our My Kinsta dashboard at demo.kinsta.com. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials, explainers, and helpful content like this.